Welcome to this week's live. It's live number 8. I'll stop putting the numbers on them because it's gonna, those numbers are going to go up. But it is live number 8. It's Thursday morning, so we're continuing from last week's little thing where we thought, let's start these live streams. We've got to get going with these live streams, Ben. But my life is very busy as a music producer, a mix engineer, a mastering engineer, a teacher. So I've got my stream on my phone here to make sure it's working, which it is. We can turn it off now. Fantastic. Basically, I do many things in the music industry, and it keeps me very, very busy, as well as being a busy dad of 2 young children. But I really want to do these live streams. So it's important to me that I find time, push for time, and make sure I go live every single week, regardless of excuses. So the times jump around, the days jump around until we get this thing really swinging and it locked in. It's going to be a bit like that. So we're kind of doing Thursday mornings at the moment. Now, 11 a.m., not exactly what you would call morning. Definitely, if you're a parent out there like me, you'll know that 11 a.m. is not the morning. We've been up for most of the day already. We've been up since 6. But I thought it was a nice little sweet spot just to jump in and do some music. Today, what we're going to be doing is something a bit different. Normally, we do either A&R with everyone else's music, or I show you one of my records that I'm working on. And the last couple of live streams were working on taking an old sample and remaking the bass line and everything from scratch using all kinds of techniques. Last week was taking that same record and making a build-up. The energy, the drop, the breakdown, how do you get into breakdowns? How do you maintain that energy? I've gone on and finished that record, actually, and I will show that to everyone very, very soon. It's sounding really good. It's actually going to be going as a demo to record labels, maybe even tomorrow or maybe early next week. Sending a demo out on a Friday is not the best move because anyone who's going to listen to that is typically already on an aeroplane flying out for the weekend, especially once you start hitting this kind of season being July. Everyone's out and about quite a lot now. So typically you want to catch the owner of record labels, which are normally DJs, right? Not all the time, but Monday is a catch-up day for record labels, so Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday are typically the best days to try and send in a demo, depending on the size of the label and that kind of thing. So yeah, they're just about finished. I've been taking an ear break. I've also been working on a very cheeky remix of my favourite song of all time. If you're interested in that, you can catch it on my Instagram. I did want to do it on YouTube, but I'll be real with you. It is a bootleg. It's a straight up taking my favourite record from back in the day. It's an Armand Van Helden record. It's such a good record. And I've turned it into a bit more of a jump up sort of 2026 funky house sort of thing, but being very respectful for the original. I fucking love that record. If I do that record and someone says that I've ruined it, I will take it down. I will feel the shame. I do not want that to happen. I really care about that record. And but it is straight meant to sound like the original. You're meant to know what it is. It's not clever sampling. It's obvious sampling. YouTube will ding the hell out of my channel if I try and show you guys that on YouTube. My channel will be ripped away from me in the first 2 minutes of that live stream. So we are not going to do that, all right? But I will be doing and have done lessons in the background off of YouTube for my students for that as well. So if you are interested in that kind of stuff, drop me a comment below. I do run my own courses and all that kind of stuff, as everyone does these days. But yeah, it's what we're doing out here. Now, on to today. So if you're new here, my name is Ben Remember. I've been making music for a long time. Let's not go into numbers. It's over 25 years at this point. I've had record deals all over the place. I've been lots of different aliases over the years. Ben Remember is my most latest alias. I've been this alias for about 10 years now. It was my first ever jaunt into kind of 4/4 music, really. I did a little bit of electro house under a different name, which we won't mention. But yeah, properly getting into it was, yeah, Ben Remember making house music and tech house and, all these sort of flavours of this sort of 4/4 genre that we love. Hey guys, sorry, Alan, I didn't see you there. How you doing? I hope you're doing well, boys. Hope you're doing well. Welcome. Hope you're all good. Hope you're hearing me loud and clear. As always in the chat, do let me know that you can hear me on mic. It should all be working. I'm getting used to it now. If the meters are working, I think you guys are working, but I always like to be sure. Yeah, anyway, I've been a music producer for a long, long time, right? And I work now massively as a mentor and a teacher. I still release my own music. I got a record deal with a label called Toolroom Records about 8 years ago. Since then, I've just sort of always worked with them, put records out with them, but also do a lot of teaching through their platform, the Toolroom Academy. I also run my own courses outside of the Toolroom Academy nowadays as well. I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of one-to-one, a lot of mentoring. I do a lot of mixing and mastering, see a lot of analog bits and pieces around me. I'm a very creative person. There's a piano over there that you can't quite see. You can see when we move cameras. I live this stuff, right? I've lived this stuff my whole life, and now I'd like to try and impart like anything that I've learned over that time, anything that I think might help up and coming producers or producers that have been around a long time. We can all learn. I'm still always learning. Music will humble you every day, no matter how long you've been doing this. But I like to try and just sort of be a small percentage of everyone else's journey by giving some some help with music, and today is one of those. So what we're going to do, we're not going to look at one of my own records or one of your records or anything like that. We're going to start a record from scratch, but it's a bit of a challenge, a bit of fun. I've challenged myself this morning to make at least an idea, even if it's only a 16-bar idea. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what the time. It's a heat wave here in the UK and all these lights on. We don't have aircon. We can't have it on whilst we're streaming because it's so loud. We'll see how we get on. It's going to get very hot in here very quickly. So we'll see how long we can last before I pass out, right? If I do pass out, please phone the authorities for me, because no one else will know. I'm in a room on my own. It's a challenge, man. So we're going to see how far we can get, but I'm only allowed to use stock plugins, and I'm only allowed to use Splice. Now, as you probably know, if we go over, as you probably know, Splice is now integrated into Ableton. So with the Splice integration, it's a very, I actually really rate this. I think it's a very strong move on Splice's part, very bold move to actually manage to link up with a huge company like Ableton. Obviously, Splice nowadays probably being arguably the biggest sample site. I've got my thoughts around that kind of stuff, and that's why I thought this would be a fun challenge. I actually, before I sort of go into that, I'd rather say I actually really rate Splice. I'm going to sound like I don't like it out of nowhere now, but I actually rate the company. I come from I came through the industry by making samples. I don't do it anymore, but before I had record deals and stuff, I used to make samples, and that was before Splice. Splice came along as I was on the way out of it, and they kind of took over, which I'm not that sure about, and I don't know if I like the way they did that. Someone was always going to do it. It was very clever the way they did it. It's very business savvy, but yeah, it's one of those. It did kind of like fuck up the actual content creation side for sample. Yes, there's a big platform, but they were taking quite a big percentage of everyone else's money. So what you have seen is lots of people realize nowadays you can just make your own website for pretty cheap. So I actually find nowadays the best sample search you can do is going on Google and just search, like if you're trying to make a specific style of record, or you've got a couple of reference tracks by this one artist or something, whatever, use your common sense. You take that artist name and say sample packs like that artist, because a lot of people will make a sample pack and say, oh, this is inspired by, here's a group of artist names, record label names, you know? And if that pings together on Google, you'll probably find there's loads of maybe better than Splice sample packs out there, shots fired, just on independent artists or independent creators' own websites. I found a company called Q3. I don't know those guys. This is not an advert. I'm not advocating for them, but 3Q samples are fucking amazing. And you just won't find them on any of these major platforms, and I don't think a lot of people realise that. So before I come on here looking like I'm like pushing for Splice, I'm just doing this as a fun challenge. I just want it to be real clear, honest, and open about my actual thoughts on where samples and how best to find samples. Because at the end of the day, your record's only as good as the sounds you make and the samples you use. And I think nowadays in 2026, there's a lot of different avenues that you can go down to find something that's just right for your sound or that particular project you're on, other than just going Loop Cloud or Splice. There are other more independent places now. You just jump on Google and find them. And I found some of the best sample packs are found that way. Just putting it out there, right? Yeah, just for clarity, just being completely clear. Hey, gang, great to see everyone in here today. Again, same as I said last Thursday, didn't expect anyone to show up. It's a Thursday morning, for God's sake, Ben. No one, no one's around, dude. Everyone in the UK is at work, and everyone in the US is still asleep. But we're going to do it, because what I do find that, based on the metrics, that most people watch my live streams after the live anyway, so it's a good way of me getting content out on YouTube. Now, let's stop waffling, Ben, and start making some music, because we've really got to crack on today. So it's 8 minutes past, we're not even working on music. So let's get cracking. We're going to use Splice, and we're going to use Ableton stock. Now, the one caveat here is I'm not going to have a reference track. The reason for that is the live stream will be pulled down straight away, or it will be demonetized, or whatever, right? I don't want to get strikes on my channel because I'm putting other people's records up as reference tracks, respectfully, but the algorithm doesn't know that or understand that kind of nuance. It just goes, you get striked, get 3 strikes and your YouTube channel gets taken away from you. Not helpful for a content creator. So I'm just going to be careful about that. And not use reference tracks at all. And the reason I bring it up is because if I was sitting down with a student, with myself, with an artist to write a record, and we're talking like, okay, we need to find the right sounds, what does that even mean? What does finding the right sounds even mean if you don't have a clear vision on what it is you're trying to make? The music industry is very interesting, and again, I don't want to waffle on about this because I could easily sit and talk for just 2 hours on this topic without even making any music, but referencing gets a bad rap from some people. I don't think some people understand what referencing is. As soon as you think referencing is anything to do with copying, you basically need to stop and actually go and educate yourself on what referencing really is. And if you are referencing and copying, you need to stop and educate yourself on what referencing is, because you're using it badly. Like, it's got nothing to do with copying records. It's a much more nuanced and deeper think than that. It takes a really creative and a deep understanding of music to actually really listen to a record and be able to extract information from it and be able to understand the types of sounds. You might not realize this, but if you put the wrong closed hi-hat, like tick, 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 that's all it is in the whole record, you're making something lo-fi and sort of bumpy, and you put some really like nasally transient electro tick, tick, tick in it, that one sound might be the reason like people aren't playing the record, or people aren't streaming the record, or labels aren't picking the record up, because it doesn't translate well in the vibe of everything else. It's not to do with like, oh, yeah, but their sound goes do, 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 do. It doesn't matter. They've already done that. Oh, there's a little woo, 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 woo. It doesn't matter. They've already done it. Stop doing the same thing as everyone else. One thing that human beings need to realize, especially in this cusp of AI taking over everyone's life, shots, what we do need to realize is we all need to be more creative and stop fucking copying each other. Seriously, if I hear the same songs being remixed, the same bootlegs going out, the same sounds on every record, it's just, don't be surprised if AI takes your job, because you're not doing anything creative by doing that. The problem with this is the music industry is fashion based. Everyone likes a certain type of thing. Fads come through, everyone's doing the fad, and it dips in, it changes, and you'll notice the big artists will dip into all the different fads. It's a part of the game. You have to realize that as well. So there isn't a clear way of looking at referencing and looking at being original. You can, but if you want to be successful, you want to be a little bit more open-minded and a little less dogmatic about your approach, you do have to realize there is this sort of space of like, we need originality, but that originality does need to, at least if you're kind of trying to break through in the industry, it needs to fit into, or at least be adjacent to, the box that's working. Do you know what I mean? The style that's working. Oh, you want to make minimal deep tech? Okay, what does that mean? It means different. If you want to make minimal deep tech, that means you have to have different sounds than if you want to make big EDM tech house. They're different sounds, straight up. They're just different. They're just different genres of music. They really are. People need to realize that. You can get more and more nuanced on the difference between artists and labels and everything. Now, I just wanted to start with that because I'm not going to use reference tracks today, and I want to be really clear for anyone that comes across, especially if you're coming across me for the first time. As you see, if you come across this live stream or on my channel, I want to be really clear about my actual sort of thoughts and feelings about how we approach starting a record, because how we're going to do it today is more about fun and just sort of like mucking about. I'm just going to do me a little bit. After saying all that stuff, I'm just going to do me a little bit. Now, the reality is, though, I've been making music 25 years. I've released, I don't know how many records has Ben remember, quite a few. We could probably check by going on that AI watchdog website that tells us how many of our songs have been ripped by AI. Spoiler alert, it will be all of them. So it's a good way of knowing how many songs you have out there if you do want to know. Or go on Discogs. Hey, Hugo. Nicholas, how you doing, dude? Thanks for joining me, mate. There's a few people in today. Good, good boys. Good, 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 good. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome. Right, let's do this. Still waffling, aren't I? I'm bad for it. Anyone who's worked with me, who knows me, or follows my content on Instagram or anything, you'll know. I do like a tangent. I will waffle on a little bit. I do like just chatting about music and this whole sort of thing that we love. I've got a lot to talk about with it, you know. Music, actually making the music, so it's like, almost in my brain is like a small part of that, the concept of being an artist these days. So how do we start this? Well, we're only going to use Splice, so we need to build something. Now, if you'll notice, my project is set up in this certain kind of way, right? I've got a MIDI and audio. I've got no send and returns, look, nothing. And there's no plugins. There's no template. I personally don't like templates. I'm not saying don't use them. If you like them, do it. I personally don't like working with templates. I like starting from scratch. I like building everything bespokely. Now, do I use the same plugins and the same techniques for specific things? If my music always has a certain sound to it, doesn't it? Go listen to my music. It always sounds like me. It's because I'm doing certain techniques and certain things, and I'll always pull from certain plugins to get that certain thing to happen. 100%, that needs to happen. But I like building that bespokely from scratch every time. I like the methodic approach of opening that plugin, having to do all the settings myself, not using presets. Like, it teaches me and it forces me to care about my songs. I really feel like the more and more we get AI tool about things, the lazier we are becoming. And I think the beginning of that laziness is presets and shortcuts and templates. It's like, do you want to be a music producer or not? Like, do you want to make music, or do you just want to be known for making cool records? And I think that's a big problem with a lot of producers nowadays. I think a lot of producers want to be known for making a cool record and not for enjoying the process. You might like it, it's fun, but like, why is everyone trying to skip through the process all the time? Like, do you love this thing or not? Because if you don't, you're going to burn out quick. Trust me, if you don't love it, love it. If you don't want to build your own presets, if you don't want to find every single one of your own sounds, if you don't want to go through the laborious task of trying to learn how to mix down, if you don't want that stuff, you might find music production is just a hobby for you. And there's no shade at that, is there? Look, let's be real, no shade. But if we're all being serious here, and most of the people who are watching this probably know who I am and how I work, we're talking to artists here who want to get on in the industry, who want to do this thing, who don't want AI to take over, for God's sake. You know, we want to make music. We don't want it made for us. I love making music. It's not about the end result all the time. It's about the process. So that's how I work. I like working in that kind of way. So I don't have any templates. I like going fresh every time. It just, I'm a bit, my brain's a bit like that. And I just find it's like when I've been working on a project for a long time with everything there, coming to a fresh Ableton, it's like, oh, the possibilities. Where if I go in with a template, it's like the possibilities are similar to last time, basically. But what we are going to do is we're going to stick a couple of channels in here. I'm going to have a MIDI kick. I'm going to have a MIDI clap. I'm going to have a MIDI open hi-hat. We're going to have a MIDI top loop. You'll notice I can make music faster than I talk. I will waffle on, but when it comes to actually putting bits together, it will, you know, we'll go bang, 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 bang. We're going to have a kick, a clap, an open hi-hat, a top loop, and maybe a perk loop. I'll put one in, but we'll go half bars. Again, another little trope of mine is all my sampling stuff is always half bars, never one full bar. It's either half bars or less. I mean, that rule's made to be broken. I'll be honest with you. You can very easily find me breaking that rule probably today, I'll be honest. But yeah, if you've anyone who's worked with me, you'll know I typically will say half bars on everything. Okay, yeah, we'll put a perk loop in as well. Let's not forget the old perk. Why am I name? Should we name it all? You'll notice here I'm using specific colours. I use specific colours on everything. So I don't need to write clap on here because green is clap. So it's always that green. Hi-hats are always this hat OP for hat open, and top loops are always this colour. So I don't really need to name everything, but I will do for those of you that are watching. Makes it a bit more clear. You don't know I'm very rigid colour scheme. Kenny, how you doing, dude? Yes, mate, dipping in between work. You don't need work, dude. Look, we've got coffees. It's Thursday morning. We're actually drinking a coffee. Those of you that know me on Instagram will know that starting the stories every day by making a coffee is religious now at this point. It's actually gone quite cold. That is kind of disgusting. Okay, right. So we're going to use Splice. I'm really tempted to go because I've got look, in my sample library, loads of this is actually from Splice, but I'm not. I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna do it for the sake of YouTube. We're gonna stay in it. So kicks. This is a tough one. Where do you start with finding the right kick? I think a really good practice is to not try and get a kick right first time when you're working in this way, because at the moment there's no other sounds, so you can't pick the right sound, because the only way a sound is right is it by working with everything else. That's what right means. Right doesn't mean it's good on its own. Every single kick drum is good in its own way for a particular reason. It just needs to be the right kick for your particular reason. If you don't have other sounds, you've got no other particular reason. So the first sound you put in is sort of arbitrary. It doesn't matter that much, but you want it to be in the pocket at least. So I think what we'll do, we'll go, I think I want to write something kind of funky. Everyone's like more on a sort of like back to like real house music tip at the moment, including me. So I think we'll go that way. Let's just go funky house. Do you know what there is? Oh, I did see a pack that I haven't used before. That's Cruisy's new pack. I haven't spoke to Cruisy in a year. Like, Cruisy's an amazing music producer, an absolutely gentleman, lovely dude, very talented, and his sample packs are incredible. And I did see that he had a new one out recently, and I think even though his music went deep minimal for a bit, his new sample pack's like funky house, and I do have word on the grapevine that he might be coming through with some real big funky house sort of bits soon, which would be great. Right, so we're going to put funky house, and we're going to go, sorry, I'm still fucking chatting, aren't I? Kicks, and we want is it one shots? Why has it moved that? One shots, and then genre. Okay, funky, that's fine. headphones on will probably help me. I'm going to switch to these headphones today. My lovely, attractive headphones that make me look really, really cool. Oh, that's a nice, standard, can't go wrong with it sort of kick. Let's go with that. The reason I like it is because it's aggressive. It's got a really good punch and also a bit of body to it. It doesn't go, couldn't stop. That's a nice kick drum. Now, you notice I've dragged it in audio first. I've just got into the habit of doing that with Splice integration. When you drag in loops, they won't be in time. If you drag them straight to MIDI, you've got to drag them into audio first. It's just a little thing. It's just one of those. So I'm going to click on my kick channel and I'm just going to drag that down. It'll just put a simpler in for me. Job's done. Turn solo off. Right, we've got a kick. Let's get a clap. Just put clap here now, can't I? Hello? What's that about as well? That's a weird bug, isn't it? Is that going to work for me? Right, that's fine to start with. Again, let's just get something in. That's what I always say to people. Get started. Don't procrastinate. Don't be like, oh, everything in life. An analogy is of me doing these YouTube live streams without knowing what the fuck I'm doing and just trying to do it every single week. I think if you spend the rest of your life going like, I'll start that, like I really want to do that, you won't. You're not going to do it. You should be doing it. As soon as you say, I'd like to do that, you should be working towards doing it or doing it at the end of that sentence. It's the mentality I've come up with later on in life. I'm in my 40s and I definitely wasn't like that when I was younger. And since I've been more like proactive on things that I want to do, just do it. Life's better. Things actually come together a bit more, honestly. Just like this loop, upside down question mark. Hat. Look, it doesn't do it. You have to like go back and do it twice. Why, guys? You know what? What's wrong with that? That's a nice classic 909 open hi-hat. Why the levels are different compared to here, I can't tell you why that is. That's actually quite odd, but that is what it is. And we're going to go top loop. Yeah, that's not what I did it? See that? That was weird, wasn't it? It's because I hit L for hitting top loop. You have to like double click on it to get it to do it. So we want loops now. It's just that's like great. That first one. Right, let's chuck that in. Hit warp. Now this is where the magic really starts to happen here, guys. This is what you have to. Yeah, trying to stay cool as well. I was joking at the beginning of the stream, mate. We'll go today until I collapse. It's already warming up in here. So once I collapse, if you guys could just phone 999 for me, that would be cool. This is where the real creativity happens now. Right? We've just chucked some loops in, right? Very little thought gone in there. Good sound choices, good samples. Splice is amazing for this kind of stuff. But what you need to do now, this is where this moment separates the good music producers to the guys that are still trying. Seriously, and I mean this very seriously. Now we need to listen to what this loop is. And we need to make a very clear decision on what's missing, what it has, and what it hasn't. Because if we just start trying to throw in new loops now, hoping that it'll all just come together and feel exciting, you will always sound amateur. You're always going to have amateur sounding demos. That's what's not letting you be. If you're in that position where you're like, I can't figure out how to get to that next run. Why does my music not feel like it's getting to this bit? I seem to have stopped here. One of the reasons I can guarantee you is because you just start putting loops in and other stuff in. You know, as quickly as I just did that, you continue with that flow. We need to stop and as artists now really pay attention to what it is we've added. Okay, the kick, fine. Clap, you can hot swap a clap, right? If we go more disco-y, I'll go more disco-y in my clap. If we go tougher with the bass line, I'll get a more tough clap in. Fine. Hi-hat. 909 hi-hat, you can barely go wrong with a 909 open hi-hat in any genre of house music, to be honest. Some go sharper, some go longer, some go shorter. Again, bass lines, vocals will all kind of dictate like the thing. So at the moment, fine. This top loop has got a lot in it. A lot. I like that perk, and I like the dustiness to it, but it's quite soft, right? It is quite soft. So my kick's quite tough. So there's something instantly to kind of think about. So the first thing I want to do is kind of make sure that this top loop has a bit more oomph about it if we are going to keep it. Of course, we can just hot swap, but again, we are just having a bit of fun with a bit of a challenge today, using Splice only and stock only to make the best record anyone's ever heard. Beatport #1 instantly by end of stream. obviously. Plugins. I want to use. Oh, so I love this plugin inside of Ableton. I am a distortion sort of saturation drive snob. I am. I've got lots of hardware ones. I've had lots of different ones. Distortion is the thing that makes me my sound. The whole Ben Remember thing when I first came through on Tool Room is basically Soundtoys Decapitator on everything. That was the clever, that was the, oh, how was he doing it? Oh, it was pitching down samples and smashing everything. I've always loved that sort of feeling. I love the sound of a sample pitched down 1 or 2 semitones with distortion on it. Maybe I'm a little spectrumy with the way my brain works and how I can taste sound as well. I can't even remember what that thing's called, Ben Remember. But yeah, I sort of taste sound a little bit, and certain frequencies, I can feel it on my skin and things like that. It's a bit weird to explain. But so pitching, like taking a top loop like this and pitching it down, then pushing the crunchiness in the mid tops genuinely affects me in a way that I like. And there's certain artists out there that get that really, really, really spot on, that just feel it, just the records speak to me. The frequencies feel like they resonate with me. It's a really interesting experience. And that's why I kind of always end up doing that sort of thing. So what that looks like is we're going to use raw. Now, again, I'm an absolute snob with saturation. So when I say raw is really good, I mean it. I mean it. If you're out there spending loads of money on lots of plugins and you're missing raw, please just give raw a little look. It's really good. Do I use this instead of, say, Decapitator or any of the Soundtoys stuff? Soundtoys stuff's phenomenal. But like, you know, I've got a whole folder of drives here. Like, do I use this instead of any of these? No. A lot of the time, like, I won't. A lot of the time, these are like this, but like with a little extra thing on top. But look, if we're doing just stock plugins, here, raw is fucking brilliant. Like, it's really, really good. Let me show you how I use this. As always with me, it's really simple. So, you know, everything I do is simple, man. Right. Let's add some drive to it. I want more mids, because I'm going to add highs with more loops. It's all about this perk for me at the moment. That clap, that sounds great. Let's turn it down a bit. Always try and practice. Okay, 9.57. Close enough, right? It's just because you don't want volume to trick you. So these are now about the same volume. And you can see I'm using this like an EQ. It's like a 3-band EQ. I'm not changing the bands. I'm not doing anything fucking clever. I'm just straight up adding drive to the mids and the tops in a separate way. And you could use the different algorithms that are in it. You could get into it, but like, I think it sounds great just doing that. There's a difference in that. The difference in how forward that feels, that mid-range, the chunkiness of it being forward, and it's the same volume, remember? Just about. Turn it down a touch more so it is genuinely fair. There we go. We're now 2 dB quieter. Okay, so they're the same volume. That 5%, if you ask me, separates the pros from the amateurs. That's that sound that makes things feel better, right? Okay, one plugin. And I might pitch it down. Pitching it's just a stylistic choice at the moment because there's nothing to be in key with. It's not working to something, and we will get to that. Sometimes I like pushing it even more and going a bit of drive into the drive, which is very, very common in, like, especially if you're using guitar pedals. I've got a load of guitar pedals down there that I use from time to time, and I'm stacking guitar pedals, stacking different drives, like a fuzz into a blah, 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 is a very fun thing, and it has been around for a very long time with guitarists. That fizzle, that fizzly, sizzly loveliness that you can hear there is that thing that I mean. Right, I just want to get a little bit more bounce on the top. So I'm going to go shakers. I want some shakers. Probably like top loop. I want shakers inside of a top loop. No, too thin. Too swingy. Maybe. You're a maybe. I like the thickness. I like the frequency sort of space it's giving me. Duplicates. I know a shaker is a percussion, but because of the spectrum of a shaker being in the high frequencies, I tend to put them with the top loops. But I will call them shackle. So it sounds like a new minimal deep tech artist name, that shackle. And I like to make them this color. So shakers are always that. And then we're going to put that in here, double click. Oh, it's already got this stuff on it. I'll tell you know what, we might end up using it. So I'll just turn it off, put drive back down to 0, put that back to 0. So copied it over, then just drag this shaker down into here instead. So now we've got our top loop on this one, shaker on this one. I don't like the panning on it. It's panned over to the left. So I'm gonna use a utility. I actually genuinely thought Ableton was gonna crash, and it felt weird. It didn't feel normal, that little like freeze it did. I'm gonna mono this. Less of the mid and more of the top on this. Might tighten it up a little bit. Now this is a great trick if you don't know this one. In Ableton, but on Simpler you can do this. You go to your warp settings, go to beats. On the mode, go to the top one. Now the envelope will change. It's very clever how long these are. It's easier to hear. Genius! So if you want real sloshy and big, or real tight and small, you can do it. Complex is the best sounding algorithm. Beats sounds fucking shocking for everything, unless you're doing this trick. I don't use Beats for anything apart from this trick. It's horrendous. It just sounds so bad. Personally, find Complex just works the best for everything, in the general sense. And then obviously I'm now using Beats for this particular trick. Once you tighten that up, you can feel the flow of that shaker's not in flow with my top loop. If you like, really, as I've said it now, listen to the top loop, listen to the shaker, and they're not talking to each other. Ugh. No, so it's not the right loop. Shakers, John. I suppose we just got. It is what it is. I mean, it's just going to be. I'm trying my best to not get. I'm trying my best to not get like stuck in loopitis, but we're gonna have to do a bit of that, aren't we? I mean, we are. Quite like you. You're quite a cool vibe, tambourine sort of thing, but slow. But I quite like it. Let's open it up to 0 to start with. There's too much going on in it still. Something that can work with this, if you like a sound, is kind of try and like don't play the whole sample. Like I'm only going to play 8ths, and then maybe we'll try 16ths as well, which actually solves the puzzle quite well. I'm going to use. I want a bit of LFO on this. Now, I don't have any stock plugins because I'm not even going to use Max for Live stuff. So what I'm going to show you is how to sidechain in Ableton with a compressor, but then I'm actually just going to put LFO tool on just to make this, because it's just fucking sidechain. It's 2026. Who isn't using Kick 2 or LFO tool at this point is mad. Source, Kick. So what we did, open your compressor, hit this little bad boy here, hit external. Your source is going to be your kick drum, which is why it's good to name your channels, Benji. And then settings, I keep those back. It's honestly about there. I know this is very like, just do this, but it's about there every time. Threshold will make it happen. Watch the gain reduction to see it. Just checking the mono off and on. We've changed samples, so the mono being on was from the previous sample. I actually don't mind. There's a reverb baked into that sample that's giving it a bit of stereo, which I quite like. The only thing about that tambourine is it is coming across a little bit like it's Christmas. That gives it a bit of vibe, doesn't it? Add a little bit of EQ to this top loop now. I just want a little bit more clarity about here. I feel like the whole groove needs a little bit more like Q&A going on in it. I think maybe I need to get a bass line in here. I think I need to get like maybe a hook of some sort in here and then come back to the drums. I think this gives me like a good sort of starting position to be like, okay, right, there's a bit of a vibe I can work around, because then as I bring in samples, and it's all going to be like Splice samples, but like we are going to go like, yeah, we'll have a look. But as we start bringing in musical stuff, bassline stuff, we might find that this shaker doesn't go with the thing we find, so we've got to change it. And that, I think that's the most important thing that I want this live stream to be about. So to get to there, we've got to start adding musical stuff. So I'm going to go like song starter. Song start. I tell you what, sometimes with this Splice integration, you've just got to go back to home and start again. Because it keeps all the tags and stuff, it gets itself well mixed up. Song starter. Now, those of you who don't know this, is a really fucking cool thing that everyone started doing a few years ago, where they were just making song starters. They're just quite fun if you're a sampley guy like me. They're fun. We're going to go loops, and we'll change the genre. I'm not going to go too crazy and be like, oh, I'm going to try and like sample something like really a different genre tonight, because it's just a bit of fun. So we will keep it in there. And also I want to teach you guys, it might seem less creative to be like, oh, you're making funky house, or you're going finding funky house samples. Good one, Ben. Very cool. Like music by numbers much. But also I think that kind of attitude is a bit of a dumb attitude to have. It comes from this like need to kind of break molds and to be cleverer than you need to be. There's nothing wrong with actually going and finding the right sort of samples. Like for instance, I go off and I find, like you guys have seen on some other live streams, and you're going to see on other live streams coming up, that I do a lot of sampling. Like I'll go to really old records and I'll take sort of sections out of it, like old school stuff, like old school original house music stuff. I love all that. I'm going back and doing it all at the moment, like writing the best records I've ever written, doing it, to be honest. And I'm not going like, oh, I want to make a funky house record, so I'm going to go and sample death metal. That's like, oh, so creative, man. I need to go and sample things that have got the funk in it. So I need to go back and sample old disco, old funk, old soul, old blues, old jazz. Like, I know it's done, and I know that's how everyone's done it, and it's for a very good reason. So sometimes breaking the mold and trying to be cleverer than you need to be isn't always the idea. Like people going off like trying to make this genre but using these sounds. Don't be surprised if people don't know what the fuck your music is or where it belongs, and labels don't pick it up. We don't need to be... Where the fuck is funky house, guys? Why are there so many genres? I don't want to go disco, it's too obvious. I'm going to chuck disco in first. I find a lot of new disco's going... Is it going to like reduce it down too much? I don't think you can make a cheesier. That's like, as a human being, I don't think you can make something that sounds happier than that. Please give me like a female pitched up, boys, summer kind of vocal on top of that, someone. It's all too slow. Don't mind some of this, but it's a bit... This is something I will pull up. When I make my own music, I've said I've gone back to sampling old records and trying to find obscure samples that people haven't found before. The old school art form, just for my own sanity, to be honest. It's just really fun. I just love it. I've just spent a year not doing that stuff and trying to use Splice and LoopCloud and all the rest of it. And I do find the samples people make are so good. I don't know that some of these aren't made by AI, by the way. I did actually put that. TrackSource posted earlier about their whole thing about like identifying things that are AI made and all the rest of it, which I think is a good thing that they're doing. I think it needs a little bit more thought than the way they are doing it, but at least someone's at least starting to do it, right? I made the point that like, how long is it until these like people are going, no, it's an original song. I'd use samples from Splice and stuff, but I made it. You know, it's just samples, right? Which is another argument you can make about like, hey, no one's been making their own music for whatever. But those samples were made with AI, but Splice and LoopCloud aren't being told that they've got to mark up samples that are made with AI at the moment, are they? That's not a thing yet. I can fucking guarantee you it's happening. There's no way in this world that sample pack creators aren't using AI to make stuff now. I'm sorry, but you're a fool if you think that they're not. They are. So there's definitely samples that people are using right now that have been AI generated without you knowing that it's been AI generated because of the samples. I think that's the next conversation that's coming. Come back to me. We'll come back to this in 6 months and see if I was right. That's my prediction. I think that's the next big, like, oh, fuck kind of thing in the industry. Do you know what I'm going to try and do? I'm going to go, see, I find whenever I search for like disco stuff, it's almost like the job has done too much for me already, and I don't like the job that's been done. Like it's already like it almost sounds like an old record that's been turned into a disco record, but the way it's been done, I don't like, and the sample they took to use, I don't. It wouldn't be what I would have picked, right? I don't know if anyone else makes this sort of music finds the same sort of thing, but so we've got to kind of like almost go old school where we're going to go song styles, but I've got to look at a different genre. I know I just did a whole fucking speech on not doing this, but going straight disco didn't work, so we've got to find a sweet spot. Like what about indie pop? Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'll know quite quickly if this is going to work. So far, not so good, right, John? Apparently, I've already listened to these. I must come into the studio in my sleep and listen to Splice, because Splice tells me I've listened to every fucking sample on Splice. I don't think I've ever seen a non-play again like symbol on any sample. I'm not joking. Can you search BPM? Yeah, let's force it to go a bit faster. Give me everything like 120 to 1, yeah, something like that. So everything is. This is all not what I would call indie pop, I'll be honest, but whatever. Oh, Splice, come on. We're on a gig up and down here, mate. Anyone who's my age will have enjoyed that quickly there. Can make like a cool Barry Can't Swim vibe with that, couldn't you? I'm doing my brain. Sorry, when I pause like that, it's my brain. Yeah, that's a good point, mate. I always forget to do that on the app. I'm on most popular. What Alan's just putting out there is if you're on most popular, it does just give you the stuff that's most popular. You can go most relevant, because obviously the most popular stuff has already been rinsed. So. Yeah, when I'm pausing sometimes, it's my brain going, oh, could I slice that up and make it houseier? Right, I think we've done that. Genres. Too many genres. There's too many genres. Sheesh. I want like jazz can be quite fun sometimes. Please hold. Straight up Sonic the Hedgehog. Green level, anyone? A green zone, whatever it's called. It's most recent. So apparently I've listened to every sample. I haven't. No, I haven't. Fun but too cheesy. Winner! Finally, someone. I knew someone. I knew it was going to come through eventually, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to spend that time. Let's be real, the amount of time we've just spent then finding a sample is not a long time. Anyone who makes music will know that sometimes it takes a really, really long time. I'm just going to let, like, one bar play. Wait. What are we in? Oh, no, sorry. That's a bar. I still, after all these years of using Ableton, still get a bit lost on like what fucking grid it's on. Like, are we on 16ths, 8ths, 1 bar, 2 bar? Honestly, it actually throws me quite a lot. It's funny. Might be a me thing, that though. All right, let's chuck you in. This what happens. Just want to change the start position, see if we can find any other little like gems in amongst. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going really anti-AI with music. The annoying thing, I'm going to do a proper video about this. I've got a record coming out at the end of the month that's got the vocal on its AI, and I'm like this close to telling the label, which is Toolroom, to not release it. Like I've gone super fucking anti-AI. It's just something in the last like few months has made me go, I actually really don't like it, and I don't want to do it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to look back in the future when AI has ruined music and be like, oh yeah, I was sort of a part of that problem because I was giving Suno money and I was putting AI stuff on records and we did let them just scrape all of our music and we didn't fight back. And, you know, I don't want to be a part of that conversation, which I think might be me dying on a hill that you will die on. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I don't know, man. It's not a conversation for today, but just recently I've really been feeling it. And then I've been going back and doing, like, making music in the old school way of sampling and stuff. I'm just like, this is it. This is so much better doing this. Like, I don't open Suno anymore. I've unsubscribed to it and stuff. Like, yeah. We'll talk about it another day. Right, we're going to change start positions. I like playing, I'll play around. I'll try my best not to do this for ages. It is the evolution, Will. It is. But the problem with that is to say it's just the evolution, I feel like the tech people have kind of tricked all of us into saying that and thinking it, to the point where I even think that ChatGPT was pretending to know more than it knew. So investors would invest more money into it. I started to realize quite early on with ChatGPT, about a year ago when I first started using it, that it was like the best sociopath I've ever met in my life, where it would lie and would give you information that wasn't true, which I've now tested with like asking for feedback on records and stuff, and it's completely fucking wrong. Like straight up, it still is. The model's not got better, but it will word it in a way that is so believable. Like it's scary. You actually believe it when you read it, even though you know it's not right. It's so good at lying. And I do think that was a part of the whole sort of plan to get it into all the homes and just to make fucking loads of money out of it, and because it needed to start to become what it's going to be. But I think like the whole sort of like, oh yeah, but it's just the future of music. I don't agree with it anymore. And I was saying that myself not that long ago. I actually don't think it should be. I think art should be human made. I think it's a fun fucking school project to show that AI can make music, but I unfollow people if I even see that their captions on Instagram are written by AI. I can't stand it anymore. Just things that are written by AI. It actually infuriates me. I don't mind if it's tasteful. I don't mind if someone's written, like I will use AI to help me rewrite things, but I'll write a whole thing out myself, and then it will just, because I'm really dyslexic, so it will help reframe things a little bit for me, so it's actually a better read for a human being. It's my thoughts, but like in a way that reads better. Fine. That's all good. But like these captions are like just all the hyperbolic language that it uses. It's just horrible. I hate it. AI videos, I can still tell some of them are getting scary. So I saw a short on YouTube earlier. There's that famous Swedish football player who there's been loads of videos of him recently, like doing different things, and it's funny. Apparently loads of it's AI generated. It's not really him. I saw a post about it earlier today, and I was like, yeah, you got me. I saw those and I did not think they were AI. There'd be no reason to think they were AI. There was nothing going on in it that would have to be AI for that to happen. But then you go, oh yeah, all the AI stuff you see nowadays is like really clear to see it's AI, because the AI videos are of a topic or something happening that is quite unbelievable. So once it starts doing things you don't question, like this particular video of this football player, you have to sort of say to yourself, oh fuck, like how much stuff am I already seeing that's not real? Did you guys see that thing about the music producer? I've forgotten his name. The music producer who like he does really well on YouTube, and like there's this whole page that's completely ripped his videos like word for word, and like it's him but they've changed what he looks like. Have you guys seen all that stuff that's been going on this last week or so? It's disgusting, man. I fucking hate it. Like I think we've gotten to the point of AI where it can be a tool, but some of this stuff aren't tools. So some of the ways that people are using it in art, not just music, but in art in general, isn't a tool anymore. This whole trick of like the AI tech gods going, they're tools, it's a tool. It's like, it's not a tool. You found a really clever word to make it feel like it's acceptable to use it. And I think you've tricked us. I'll stop ranting about it now. Yeah, plot twist. I'm actually having a coffee in the kitchen right now. This is all prompted. Anyway, right, let's get off AI because I will rant. I will rant, guys. Honestly, I've been on that thing this last couple of weeks. It's been a lot. There's been a lot of chat about it on socials and a lot of chat behind the scenes in the industry about it. And because I've got a record coming out, I've gone like really anti it. And because I've got a record coming out that's got an AI vocal on it, but the label's cool with that. But I'm not. I'm like caught in this weird. I feel like I'm caught in this weird emotional thing with it at the moment. So I will get on my soapbox a little bit. So I'll stop and make some music. Right, we're just going to keep changing the start place on this. Well, like that. That's quite cool. If we actually make the loop shorter, sounds like what's that record? Make sure that's in time, as it feels a little loosey goosey, right? Let's get over it and get that a little bit tighter. It feels like that moment where you're meant to save stuff, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It feels like that moment where you're meant to go save. Oh, is this the first time ever saving a project on a live? I need a new folder. This is the beginning of a whole new world. Sorry. I do accidentally break into song whilst live on YouTube, which I've really got to be conscious of. YouTube Live. I mean, what else are we going to call it? And then we'll call this Live 8 Funky Jam. Right. Yeah, you can tell, Will. Can you tell? Is it showing? What I'm going to do, I don't even think it's necessary, I'll be honest, but I'm just going to do it because I think it'll be a fun way to teach you guys some stuff. I'm going to take the bass end out of it, duplicate and do the bass separately. It's a shame I can't use some third-party stuff. I did set myself the challenge though, but so there is some third-party stuff I would do to actually really make this cook. But I'm going to high pass the bass out on this version. Then I'm going to make a duplicate and do the exact opposite. I'm going to turn this into a low pass. I'm going to switch it like that. So then you have the sample. The crossover feels about right. You have the sample. But now we can kind of go just bass line or just music. And we can balance that bass line to more suit our kick drum, to suit more the taste that we want. We can kind of you could even do little fun things like come in and change this to beats and go top mode and make the bass line feel thinner. We'll see how this goes. For a different creative vibe, whether or not it's the best thing to do, whether or not it actually sounded better without doing that, probably. These are things I like to explore as I'm making music. And then you go like, oh, that's quite cool, but I want like a more sustained like feel to that. I'll tell you what, I won't use third-party stuff, but as I come up against problems, I'll show you what tool I would have used. So if I want this bass line to actually be that bounce, but a bit heavier sort of sounding, a plugin that I really like for this is in Ozone 12. Now, I know I could just be using the individual plugins for Ozone 12 rather than opening Ozone 12. I do know that. It's just because my Ozone 12 is in my mix and master sort of section here as like a quick grab. It's just quicker to get to it rather than going into my plugins and try and fucking find the individual thing, right? I've just got used to working like this with Ozone. Bass control is great. So what you can do is you've got a sustain power, right? We're going to bring the threshold down. It activates on where we want that to be listening. So right down here, right? I'm going to find it hard turning this off. I don't know if there's anything in Ableton that's going to be able to do that exact thing. And if you want, we can try and control the peaks a little bit because there's that knocking from the, there's a whole loads of stuff in the loop, isn't there? This is what I would have used. Okay, AB off and on. I'll tell you what, context off and on. Do you know what? I'm actually going to try and roar off the bass line, obviously. That makes, because I was only affecting the mids as well. So we'll get rid of that. I like to try and be conscious of that and try and work like that. Like, don't leave plugins on that aren't actually necessary for the specific job at hand. Just reading chat here a sec. I'm still on French. Shouts, man, I was on this for ages. I was so hooked for listening for Junior Jack and realised, yeah, there's the thing with it all is I think the funky house thing, like the problem that we've got at the moment is some artists jumped on, and no shade to them, I know them, they're friends, jumped on like literally redoing some old school stuff, like the new Who record, which is borrowing identity from Junior Jack, let's say. And they've done a fantastic job on it. It's a fucking brilliant 2026 version of like a very famous record without really being it, if you know what I mean. But I think that's been, a few other people have done this as well. Kid Cream is another artist that people have been heavily inspired by and completely stolen the bass lines out of and then remade the bass lines and stuff, stem split them and then like you go, okay, let's just get someone to actually play that bass again and, doing it all properly. Like putting the effort in, that's the thing of it, that's putting the effort in. It's not just robbing people's records. It's like actual real thought and care that goes into making records like that. So again, no shade, actually, I love those dudes and I love what they do. But there's a few other people that have done it as well. And it's created this sort of pocket where there's this sort of like straight up mimicking the early 2000s funky house. And that's become almost not mainstream, but bigger labels that have a more commercial reach, like Defected, Toolroom, and bigger labels like that. They've done that. They've done that thing. I prefer the funky house stuff, for my personal taste. I prefer the funky house stuff that is a little bit more like what it's almost not funky house. I think there's been this resurgence at the moment. I've heard a lot of artists and a lot of record labels recently, just like fun, not like on the inside, just like looking at people's social media and stuff, like paying attention to the scene, like I do, where people seem to be, I've heard this term now a few times, and I know from people, because I run a whole course where my students are sending in demos, and if something doesn't get signed, I help them get feedback and stuff like that, from the label, and I always push them to make sure the label gives them feedback. And something I'm hearing quite a lot at the moment is the guys, a lot of the students are coming through and making this sort of like funky tech house, which is what those labels are putting out. Like, they won't name names, but like they're making the stuff that those labels have put out. And those labels are coming back and saying like, we're actually going a little bit more like real, back to proper house. We're not doing the like big room tech housey thing. We know we've got like the last year's releases of that, but actually we're kind of going more towards like classic house. And that classic house sound, I think the best label I can think of at the top of my head is Cecile, as being, it's because it's funky house, but it's not funky house like Kid Cream, Junior Jack, but modernized. It's just proper house music, and I am feeling that myself. Today we're making something that's a bit more loopy, just fucking about, aren't we? We're spending 2 seconds on the music here. But yeah, I'm really noticing that in what a lot of people are talking about. I'm hearing that a lot from artists. Again, I won't name names because I've had private conversations with people. They wouldn't care if I said it, but let's just be respectful. But there's some decent, very big artists I've spoken to recently, a handful, that have all said that you would all think of as being more tech housey, funky, big tech housey, and they've all gone, oh, yeah, I'm going more like proper house now. I think there's this shift happening at the moment, and that's sort of what you're saying. You've got, just listen too much, but you got a bit burnt out by it, sort of thing. I think a lot of people have found the same thing very quickly as well. But so have kind of, rather than gone, it's like almost like they're like, yeah, 2000s, like ding 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 sort of thing. Is like, okay, fine. We completed that very quickly in 2026, 2025. Now everyone's sort of going like more grown up and serious with it, if that makes sense. That's just my take on that, dude. Just from one producer to another, that's kind of what I've been starting to feel myself. And just anecdotally, other people seem to be saying a similar kind of thing at the moment. Where was I? Oh, yes. Right, so I can't use those in 12. So we're going to get rid of that. But like I said, I'll show you little things, little nuggets I would actually be doing if we weren't doing a little challenge here. I think the only option I've got here is EQ, right? But before EQ, if we use drum bus, which I haven't used in fucking ages. I don't even know where it is. Drum bus, and we use the boom. So that's actually very effective, to be fair. You're starting to hear that click and the pop there. And that's where your release time gets too fast. We need a fast release time to get this sort of flick, but just going to stick a low pass filter on the musical part here a second. I'm going to sort of come back into our other sounds. The key of this feels a bit off to my brain. I can't tell you the music theory of it. I don't know what even key of this is the sample. The sample's in D minor, but we've gone down 3 semitones. So, fucking hell, so it's in D minor, and we've gone 1, 2, 3 semitones down. So we're in B minor, most likely. Okay, so I'm just going to keep that in mind loosely. I tend to use my ear, to be perfectly honest. I'm one of those people who just goes, it sounds good, it is good, stop worrying about it. But the top loop perk feels a bit weird now. Of course, it was done before the loop was in, so you've got to go back and look at stuff. Quite like it. I wanted to bring it right down. It sounds like a cowbell down there, doesn't it? Life is samey after a certain age. Put it on a t-shirt, let's put it on the merch store. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? That perk being low and the tambourine being high is nice. I'm actually really happy with this clap. That's very, very lucky. I am going to do a little trick here, though. It's nothing that no one wouldn't have learned from anywhere else on YouTube before, I'll be honest with you. Track options, and then you track delays down here nowadays. It used to be somewhere else, didn't it? But I'm just going to pull this clap back a little bit. Let me go too far so you can hear what it's doing. Am I on the completely wrong channel? Have I gone insane? Yes. I was like, that's not doing anything. So it's just moving the MIDI note back. A little trick I found as well. This is really an odd little trick, but it's pushing your open hi-hat forward a little bit. Sometimes I don't think it'll work here because this is quite sloshy. That's too far. You can get the open hat off the grid a little bit forward this way. It can work really nicely. This helps separate it a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of EQ to this. Listen out for like frequencies that I like first. Now, I know that's a ringing frequency, and you'll find videos all over YouTube telling you that you're meant to remove those frequencies, which you can do. But in this particular case, I want this sound to stand out a little bit better against the rest of the sounds now. So I'm going to do a little bit. I'm only going up like, what, 4 dB? Is that 5 dB? Which is actually fucking loads, so it's quite a lot. It just doesn't look like it on this EQ. And if I don't like that, guess what I do? I hit hot swap and I change the hi-hat. I think it's okay. I'm going to add a little bit of reverb and drive to the clap here. Oh, I've got to use stock, haven't I? Reverb and saturator. I always add saturators after reverb. People would have seen me talk about that a lot on my Instagram. Those that follow my lessons and stuff. You know, some of you here will be from my touring courses or from my demo strategy courses and all the other free giveaways I've been doing over the last year. I will almost always put a distortion after the reverb. It does two things. It pulls the reverb out more clearly out of the speakers. The drive pushes it more forward out of the speakers, which means you can use less reverb, more delicately set, but still get a very transferable feeling from those delicate settings, which, as you know, if you're not doing that, is fucking impossible because it just gets lost in the source, doesn't it? Which is why you even do it in that way. Also, the drive done just right in the right circumstance for the right genre, depending on what you're doing. So take this with a pinch of salt. Remember, no trick works for every genre, every song. But it can add just a little bit of like, I don't know, like depth to the reverb that feels a bit like, I apologize for saying this, but it feels a bit analogy almost. It makes it, there's some kind of feeling to the drive. The reverb being driven a bit just has a little je ne sais quoi to it that like, you just don't get in any other way. So yeah, I'm almost always adding a drive after a reverb. To be honest with you, and recently with the sort of stuff I'm making every single time. So let's solo this so we can actually hear what I'm doing, right? First up, the settings need to be very subtle. See how it pulls the reverb out? Let's gain match that. So, God, 7.46. Close enough, right? Off and on for both of them. So this is the same volume peak-wise, but RMS is obviously very different. No vibe. Loads of vibe. And that's the same volume. As far as your computer's concerned, your headroom's concerned, that's the same volume, clearly not to our human ears that hear differently to peak. I'm going to make this decay much shorter now. Just to get that weird stereo vibe. The great thing about this, another thing, I haven't done it here, but something, I think it's mono anyway, but I quite like sometimes going in mono and then the reverb is the thing that's stereo for drum sounds. Yeah, I think that's already mono. Yeah. Also, I know reverbs naturally are more set like this, so a reverb doesn't typically have lots of top end on it, but we're making tech house, whatever house, right? House music. So I don't care about that. I want the reverb to translate well in the mix. So I'm going to take away the lows and actually get it to be sort of more up here. So the splashiness of the reverb is sort of set in amongst the shakers and stuff. I've got to do it to obviously to actually in context here now. That makes a massive difference. Let's run it through, but really that makes such a difference to the kind of professional sound of that clap. It sounds better, that's for sure. And it gives us the headroom, so we can turn it down a bit. Now we can turn it down here instead, keep that at 0. Just going to group all of my drums other than my kick. I keep that separate. And I'm going to add even a little bit more raw. And I'm going to put a little bit of reverb before that as well to my whole drum group. This is what I call the groove group. Maybe just some to the top. So I've pushed that top loop quite hard in the mid-range with raw beforehand. So I think we do need to be a bit delicate, but I wouldn't mind making this a bit sizzlier. this adds in these headphones, very good headphones, but it just adds this sense of presence to the drums, which I know listening on YouTube that you could clip that into a meme of like producers saying things are different when they're not. But honestly, if you've got a good ear, that is different. There is a sense. If you've got that mastered and loud one-to-one, A to B, there's a difference there. These nuances are important if you ask a humble gentleman like myself. No compression, no EQ. Notice that? You notice how I'm not opening EQs very often on things? Very rarely. I'm going to open one now. The shaker has got a bit of a harsh resonance. You know, we just said about like you'll see videos where people say you've got to notch these things out, and I was like, I'm not going to do it on the hat. I am going to do it here. I am picking up quite a harsh sizzle. We're going to have to do it after the... You could do the EQ before and see if fixing it into the... In fact, that might be a better idea. I'm just wondering if the harshness is coming out because of the raw, so then it needs to be fixed after raw, or is it in the sound and then raw's just exacerbating it? So if we fix it before raw, you get a smoother sound out of raw. Both will probably give you the same result, I'll be honest with you. Right, how we do this is we go tight Q. Let's go solo as well so we can focus. I think it's that one. Think it's that one. I'm not sure. We'll have to sort of benchmark this, but I find the frequency, go tight Q, and then I'm not touching this over here because it's very easy to accidentally go left or right. It needs to be very pinpoint specifically in the right place. You hear that ringingness disappear there? Got to be careful because that's inherently a very important part of the tambourine sound. You notice I've not been rolling away very much. This EQ is really bad for it. Okay, yeah, it does make a difference. I'll show you. I'll explain it, then I'll run it for longer so you know what you're listening out for. Listen out for like the ringing sort of sound. If you've got headphones on, you'll hear it in the stereo a little bit. I think within the sample there's reverb, I think, and it's in the reverb almost, or like because of it's in the tambourine, but it's exacerbated by the reverb, which is exacerbated. Good word to use today, isn't it? By raw that I'm putting on. It's smoother. It just smooths it out a little tiny bit. Is it possible to move your studio camera to top of the screen so we can see? Oh, yeah. It is, actually. Good shout, mate. I didn't think about that today. Bear with me. Let's stick it up there. I normally have it over here, don't I? But because I'm using Splice, I moved it over here. Let's put it up there, and then I'll be conscious of not putting plugins up here. So we think we're in B, don't we? Should we see if we can get a vocal on here? Now this is a challenge, putting a vocal on a record on a live stream, so you can't be slow about it and take all day to find one good vocal. Not that that ever happens to me. Do you know what I mean? Never. No. I find stuff straight away every time. It's fine. By the way, that's also British sarcasm at level 100. For any of my non-UK listeners, that's a British man being incredibly sarcastic, because it typically takes me fucking ages to find vocals, as it does for anyone. Oh, vocals. I'm not going to put key in because I like pitching things, but I'm conscious that we're in B minor, we think. And then I am going to start putting genres in, though. I think like soul, and let's do them one at a time. No. We've all heard these samples 1,000 times, haven't we? Like every single person in this room has heard those samples before. Just gonna like randomly scroll. I'm just gonna like. Do you know what that really good place for vocals is? If the argument that, oh, they've been used 1,000 times isn't that big of a thing for you, although it is for everyone, 91 Vocals is probably the best company for vocals. Straight up. Should we go like non-genre specific? Have we got genres? We've gone non-genre. Should we just sort of like flick about, see what we get? What? Did 91 Vocals do Did 91 Vocals make packs with like non-vocal stuff? They must do. Fucking that sample, man. If I hear that sample one more time in my life. I bet you at least one person in the chat has got a record with that sample on it. Hands up in the chat if you've used that vocal. I bet you fucking everyone has. I've heard it so many times. Oh my.
Big man, you big.
I quite like that in its own weird way. I like vocals in audio, by the way. It's one of the only things, sort of. It really depends on the project, but I do like them being in audio. You can get rid of these channels. Let's get rid of that. Stretch this out a little bit longer. Oh, the only thing is pitching it. I suppose we could just do it in the actual audio to get everything in key. So typically when I'm working like this, right, again, I'll show you a third party just to show you guys stuff. I'll use a plugin. There's lots of different ones of these. I've used Pitch Wheel by, they got a really funny name. What's it? It'll tell us on the plugin. Quick Quark. I've used this plugin. Oh my God, I've used this plugin since I was making breakbeat when I was like fucking 20 years ago. I swear I was using this back then. But it's just a good pitch. Like, it's just a good pitch wheel. So it's in C sharp. Was it in C sharp? I think it was. And we think C sharp. So we've got to go down at least to C sharp. We've got to go 1, 2. 1, 2 semitones should be correct. But it depends how it's being sung. Yeah, the inflection that she's doing isn't the same as what my musical hook is going the other way, so it can't be used. Yeah, it's got to delete it. Move on. Splice, sorry. Splice. Splice.
Why we gotta be in such a rush? All of this time I've been fighting. I just need an escape.
It's kind of a bit of fun seeing what I can get to work, to be honest. When I work on my own, if I'm not like live, because obviously you don't have to think as much when you're on your own. Let's make sure that's right. 125, 125. What are we actually at? 125. Are we at 125? Am I randomly at 125? Have I always been at 125? I didn't even think about that at the start of the stream. So, oh my God, why can't how long have I been making music and I still can't do the scales in my head? F, what was it? F minor, so just F. Ooh, maybe we go up or down, I suppose, can we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Always like to double check. Down 6. Problem with it is it feels really pitched, doesn't it, at that point, which I don't like. So if we go up, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, of course it is. Duh. Don't mind it. I actually don't mind some of the ad-libs. That's quite cool. The rest of it's a bit shit. We could use that maybe like as a little loop to start with. You just got to chuck things in, right? You just got to get going. Maybe if we go into that sample, oh, I've lost it. Ooh, was it this? Yeah. Go into that pack. Oh, I need instruments, vocal. Lost inside. That's a really good deep house vocal, I'll be honest with you. 91 vocals and it's the one. Oh, it's in A minor, it's right next to us as well. We've only got to go, I'll do I'll do it without a third-party plugin now. You can just do it in here. It's 128, 128. A minor, so we just want to go up 2 semitones, right? So A sharp, B. I did it in my head. Yee-hee. Oh, the loop is just fucking there for me. Look, that is crazy. Why am I making a song that's 7 bars long? Donut. What's good about that is it means we can do this and this is how I sketch stuff out in my head, right? The way I start figuring stuff out. Which one's the bass? Ah! This one. Let's start making these a bit more clear for my brain. Bass, music. I wonder what it'd be like if we actually imagine this, if I play this, like if I let this musical part play out rather than loop and it's all in key with a vocal and it actually gives us like a little resolve hook. Can everyone cross their fingers for me? Yeah, everyone praying for this? I need full psychic support on this, everyone, all right? I thought it was going to give it to us then. That first little section was actually quite cool. That first little bit kind of worked. Okay, what about we go like this and then we make a little like din 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 like that. Yeah, we'll keep it going like that and then we do that and then we'll highlight that a little bit better by using the filter. So this will kind of stay filtered down, then we'll bring it up. I tell you what, we just got to do that to start with, right? Got a cool thing with these sort of sounds is if we go auto filter for the reverb, some of these interesting it like makes it crunchy. I just turn the plugin on, I haven't done anything. It's just this, and you can So what I want to do is figure out a little bit more, a little bit more of like an arrangement in a sense where we get, because I wouldn't mind, we've got musical stuff, but I wonder if like a stab would be cool. So just in this little area, right, just in this little 16 bars, I can figure out like, let's bubble with the vocal and then take the vocal out, right? So we can understand that kind of crossover. That's something really important to work out in your own music, just in like a little bit here. I don't make songs like this and go, oh, right, let's do an intro, then let's do the bass line in. I'm in this little 16 bar section. I'm going to make a little idea now, like I'm going to let this kind of cook and figure out like what's working, what needs to be in here. Like that's what I need. I need to hear it out a little bit, really. It's actually quite cool. Like the perk stands out loads as you drop in. It just needs a bit of a mix sorting out on it. Like it's the kick in it. going to add a little bit of oomph to that kit with a bit of saturation. Just get it to pump out, just pop out a little bit more. That's all it takes sometimes, honestly. Like, the difference that makes is crazy. Also, I'm in headphones, so apologies if the mix is a little bit... Anyone who comes across this live stream who's like a decent mix engineer or a decent producer, and you're like, dude, this, this balance is sounding a little loosey-goosey. Apologies. These headphones are a bit like that. They're fucking amazing headphones, but like when I'm being creative in them, I get really confused about levels more than, say, my speakers or even my like, little DT770 headphones. It's funny. I've always found it with these headphones ever since I've owned them. It's one of those things. I want to add some effects and stuff. Like I quite like adding crashes and stuff. It gives a bit of a sense of what's going on. I'm going to have my crashes outside of my groove group. And I know it's sort of like a crash is a part of the drums, but because I'm using them in a very specific kind of way to create sort of tension and moments and stuff. Do I have to go on Splice just to find crashes? Suppose we got to. To be fair, I do want... That's actually probably the sort of thing I had in my head, actually, to be funny. Because I want it to be a bit more like lo-fi, like that. Yeah, I don't want it to be too clean and crispy. I'm going to duplicate that. And I want a little crash fill here. Probably just on that bit where maybe it goes 1 and then it does 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do it in MIDI. Because I want to pitch them. I want to pitch them differently to this one. I don't want them to be the same, to the same crash, but I want them to be pitched differently. What am I doing? I've got an idea about what I might do even slightly differently again, to be honest. Got a little idea cooking in the back of my head. So I want these to be pitched up a little bit. So it's onto the drop. That coming down into the drop feels nice. I'm going to do a little bit of random pan on them as well. Funny how I can't escape sounding like me in it. That sounds like a Ben Remember record. I don't know why that happens. It's really interesting. I'm going to add a little bit of automation because I wouldn't mind working out what this is going to sound like with the musical stuff actually kind of... Oh, that dropped to... Oh, I quite like that. So the music was... I didn't even do that on purpose. It dropped from no music. I didn't even realise that. I want to test having high pass sections on my kicks and stuff like that. Yeah, the reality is we ain't finding a vocal on Splice that you won't be sick of within 5 minutes. That's just the reality of it. Also, I think that's like a genuine problem for some music producers. I really do find I work with some people that like, they can't get over like vocals not being good enough. Like they can't get over it. They actually can't. Some people find it harder than others to listen to music like a listener and not like a music producer. I don't know if that translates to anyone or makes sense at all the way I've explained that, but it's definitely like a running theme I see in some people. Like will always go, oh, I can't. To be fair, the vocal is quite annoying, but just as like an anecdotal thing, like I do notice it with certain people. What's it like if that one's not in, then it only flips to it? A bit of reverb on the drums here. Not this one, this is a sound design reverb. I want one for a little build up. Okay, time. Just to give this a little sizzly push. A little sizzly push into there. Not going to use white noise splashes or anything. I just feel they're very outdated at the moment. This needs like a little, there needs to be a bit of 1-2 with the percussion. I said this when I added the percussion. It's funny, it's actually is coming out to me now. The percussion I like, it's almost got that cowbell sort of sound to it. And the vocal, there's like a slow Q&A going on between that and the vocal. Almost feel like there needs to be a higher, like ding ding, like, because we've got musical stuff and all the musical stuff, but I kind of want MIDI. What am I hearing? Like sticks? I'm almost hearing like a triangle or something. Like, oh, I'm going off of. This is my instincts went to my sample pack. Well, it makes it harder to go on Splice and do it because I've got to be more specific about what I want. What do I want? All right, we'll do it. We'll go Clave. It's the obvious fucking choice. The obvious, but will work choice. One shots. Thanks. I can't move it around. I can't chop it anywhere because it won't let me. Do that one. God, this is confusing. So this one. No. No. Why is it doing that? Oh, it's because I didn't double click. Fair play, fair play. Me. Ding, 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 ding. So it's like the one before the clap. Am I hearing that like that? So it's like vocal, cowbell, clave. It just adds a little hookiness to it, doesn't it? It adds that little something that was missing. Just jazz up the vocal a little bit. I'm going to use, I don't think it needs compressing. It's already quite compressed and it's quite earthy sort of sounding. So typically I will start a vocal chain always with a compressor. I'll typically use an LA2A. Ooh, wrong folder. This was highlighted, I'll go to it software. Most of my vocal chains will start with this first, in hardware as well as software. But we don't use that, so we're going to use, which is the glue compressor, which is sort of like that. Enough. I don't think this really needs it though, to be honest. If anything, it will be a fairly fast attack so it does grab stuff, and a fairly like easy chill out release because I don't want it doing much. I just want to maybe catch some of those peaks a little bit, but honestly, if I wasn't here just sort of like demonstrating stuff, I probably wouldn't bother. I want a little bit more air in it, but I'm not going to reach for the EQ straight away for that. I am actually going to try and do that with Raw again and EQ after. No, I'm going to go EQ first because I do just want to get rid of that lumpy stuff down the bottom there. All off and on. Little bit more on the top. These headphones are really bad for making me want to put more top end into stuff though, so I don't know if this is a little bit too much. Sorry, when I do this, it's me looking at the chat. When you finish a session, send it on Discord for feedback. I could do, can I? Oh, you've used a vocal. I see, Will. I see. See, it's impossible, dude. It's fucking impossible to find a vocal that hasn't been used. It's the same as asking other music producers for feedback. Double-edged sword. You get a technical analyst a lot of the time, but a normal listener might just tell you it's shit. Crowd is the king. Yeah, that's the thing. Being good at A&R is not easy. People don't realize that. Like giving advice on music in a way that actually genuinely supports and helps the person who's trying to learn how to make music is a really hard thing to do. I don't know if you're on my Discord, dude, but we have a Discord where for my course where we support each other and help each other. I'm on there every day giving feedback, and I've been giving feedback on music for as like an educator for about 8 years now. almost every day, but like quite intensively at least once a week for different courses and stuff that I do. And after like 8 years of giving people feedback all of the time, for me it's like a real art form, is understanding, like being good enough at music to know what's right and wrong, technically and also stylistically, dependent on the style that the music that the person's going for. There's an awful lot to unpack just inside of that, and like that's a skill on its own. Being able to really understand, like, oh, you're making this sort of style at the moment, this kind of stuff works better than that kind of stuff. Like having that encyclopedia of knowledge and then keep refreshing that knowledge with how the scene changes constantly is one thing in itself. But then also having the technical ability, which is what A&Rs are very good at, but then also having the technical ability to help people understand if the kick drum's the wrong sort of style, or it's the wrong choice in the clap, it's that bass line's not quite working, and A&R will go, the bass line's it's not quite feeling that. Where a more technical minded, like a music producer who's been doing it a long time, can say to you, that's slightly out of key on a couple of those notes. The bass notes are slightly too long, so it's not working inside of where the perk is. This kind of stuff like you can talk about, right? So having someone that can do both of those things, they're quite rare, and quite often I think what you're sort of pointing towards is typically if you do sort of like give your music out there for people to sort of like give feedback on, you'll get shit feedback. Giving feedback on music is really hard to do, and most people just want to chime in and show off. Most people just want to come in and go, almost like treat it like, oh, I would have done it like this, or oh, like I think it should be more like that. You know, like people want to come in and do that to you. That's not fun. It's not helpful, and it's annoying, very annoying. And yeah, it's a really hard thing to do, to give feedback. You've always got to be very careful on who is giving you feedback, to be honest, because it can really stifle creativity and send you in the wrong direction as well, man. Like if people don't really know what they're talking about, like properly, it can really fuck you over. I tell you what, another thing, just not to derail us here, but it's just a very interesting topic. You sort of said as well, like the crowd is king. The crowd can be wrong as well, though. The interesting thing about a crowd is because I used to DJ a lot. You wouldn't think it nowadays. I don't DJ at all. But I used to DJ a lot, and I used to play only my own music. There was a period of time where I was DJing a lot, and I was only playing my own music. Of the whole 2-hour sets were just my own music. I'm not kidding. And I used to be making stuff like on the way there, and it was all like loads of it was just like bootlegs, and loads of it was just like stuff I was in the middle of working on. And I would honestly export. This is a few years back now. This is like 20 years ago. Oh, when I was like 20, I was making breakbeat. I used to like play out like rough sketches that I was working on. I'd make them sound good, but it would only be like 16 bars, then the main breakdown, then 32 bars, so I could mix it out. I used like road testing ideas out. It was a cool way to learn. I learned a lot by working like that. And I did find like certain crowds will react in certain kind of ways dependent on groupthink, like, and the way the group of people are reacting to music, depending on what sort of things that specific kind of crowd like. Like, for instance, if you're playing in a more commercial crowd, this is all obvious, usually common sense sort of stuff, but it's worth talking about. It's because sometimes a crowd can mislead you. A crowd, when it's loud and it's just people are pissed up and maybe we've had a bit of a sniff as well, and they're just sort of like, a beat comes in, there's this list, and you're like, yeah, I knew that'd work. I knew my drop was killer. And then you send it out to labels and no one picks it up. I know people have had that experience, and I know I've had that conversation with people where I've told people to go road test stuff, and I've given that advice, and they've come back and been like, people loved it on the dance floor, but like, yeah, the A&Rs at labels are like not picking, they're saying the drop's not working and stuff, but it worked really well last night. There is this thing where like the way in which a crowd is responding to music isn't just purely based on your song alone. It's the environment, the experience, and the atmosphere within that human experience of a dance floor that can create a slightly misleading sometimes, not all the time. You should still always do it. I'll end on you should still do it, but it can be, you've got to be careful. You can't use it as a one-to-one. Crowd is, like, if the crowd says yes and it works, because the crowd is wrapped up in an experience, which isn't just your song. But that said, I still think it's a very valuable part of A&Ring your own music. If you are someone who makes music and DJs, fucking 100%. Don't be one of those people that's too scared to play your own music. Lots of people are like that, like, nah. Fucking play your own music. Like just get Ozone 12 and get it to master it for you. Turn it up a little bit. Just make sure it's loud enough. Whatever, right? Pay someone like 20 quid to master it for you. It's not expensive these days. You should play your own ideas out. You do get an awful lot of very interesting feedback. I tell you what, not just from the crowd, from yourself. Hearing your music out of a system when you're DJing is such a different way to experience your own records. And honestly, I've had records come out and I haven't heard it out loud until it's come out. I can actually think of a specific song. I can't remember what the song's called. It came out in Tour Room, and I played it out at a festival, big open festival, quite a decent crowd. And I played this new record, and it didn't work at all. Like, it was too bassy. Like, it was all these like problems. The breakdown was too long. All this stuff, like where like when you're stood there and you're playing, all of it's like, obviously this should change, but it was never picked up, interestingly, by A&Rs in an isolated environment, by a music producer in an isolated environment, by the mix engineer, the mastering engineer who mastered the record. None of these things were picked up by any of these very talented people because it wasn't in a live environment. So you can see there's a double-edged sword with it, right? You can't have like one sort of thing fits all. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things. You definitely need a little bit of both. Like, I'm not saying no, crowds don't matter. They are probably that's the end result, isn't it? At the end of the day, who are you making music for? Not really making it for the record labels, are you? Not meant to be. You're meant to be making it for the crowd. So in that sort of simple sort of format, crowd is king, because they are who it's for. If they react well, the record labels react well. If everyone streams your stuff, record labels react well, right? If you're gonna have to put that fucking gate in between, think about it, record labels are actually the gate in between you and the crowd, right? That's all they are. What their job is meant to be finding the stuff the crowd wants and then getting it to the right crowd. That's what that's meant to be. The scene's grown to a point where that's sort of been lost and gotten a little bit confused at times. But yeah. Interesting. It's a genuine conversation. It's worth having always with artists. Like, you've got to kind of understand that sort of stuff. Also, it's interesting getting feedback from people who don't make music. Like, not your best mate or your girlfriend or your mum, because they're just. But you need people without bias. But that's interesting. Have you ever I tell you one of the most horrific situations you can put yourself in is showing your music to a group of people that you don't really know. I've done this at parties and stuff when I was younger. A group of people that you don't really know, so you're in the room with them when everyone listens to your music. That's horrible. That's a really unfun experience that's not fun. Even if they love it, it's sort of sitting there. You can hear all the mistakes. You want to make all the changes there and then. You're like everything's like, you have to pre-fit. You have to say at the start, you have to say it's not mixed down yet. You almost feel yourself saying it. You don't want to say it, but you know you're going to say it. It's a little rough. Be kind. Anyway, right. I think we're kind of getting there with this now, to be honest with you. I don't want the live streams to go on for fucking ever and ever and ever. And this is kind of what I wanted to do today. We've got drums, a little musical thing on the go. We've separated the bass line out of that and kind of given ourselves a bit of freedom within that with the funky sort of sound. I'm going to do it. We'll do another one of these soon, and we'll completely switch the genre up. Because I do make lots of different styles of music. I used to make all the sample packs and stuff. I used to make loads of different genres of music, so I quite like. All the live streams so far have been very much mixed up in the sort of stuff that I'm doing. But yeah, we should do like me trying to make drum and bass and shit like that. That'd be really good fun. Me trying to make like jump up sort of US tech house, me trying to make like electro tech house, me trying to make like just different genres of music would be really fun. Like complete stuff I've never made before. I used to make breakbeat. Maybe we could do a live session where we try and make breakbeat again for the first time in 25 years. That'd be good fun. Cool. Right, I'm going to listen to this through. I'm going to make some tweaks. I want to kind of like give you guys that kind of like, because do you know what it is in myself? I've said this on a couple of my live streams. At around close to 2 hours now, I think it's because I do a lot of teaching of 2 hour lessons. So the cycle of my concentration seems to work in like 2 hour cycles. But I get to certain points here where I've had headphones on, we've been chatting, we've been creative, we're thinking, I'm looking at the chat, I'm thinking, I'm being creative. When my brain gets to a point where it's just like, it just needs a rest. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's another really important thing with being creative is sometimes, if you're a bit obsessive like me, you do get stuck in 6 hour focus on getting it right. But it's not always the best way to work. And I feel in myself, I'm getting to that point where I'm like, I don't know what more good I can do here. I need to like go away from it, have a rest, come back and go, right, okay, now what's the next step? So we'll talk about that. Let's run it through, have a little play around. That top loop's doing an awful lot of work, isn't it? Another fun thing you can try, I quite like that. It's, you know, it's all right. It's like, I'm not going to go around and finishing this record or anything, but that's a bit of fun. It's all right. Is taking a vocal like this and putting it into MIDI. If I'm allowed, please let me do it. And then if you wanted something a bit edgier, something a bit faster sounding. Definitely not on C3. I am on C3. That's interesting. What if I change the pitch somewhere? What did I do here? Up 6. Okay. Do it in here now. Up 6. Make sure warp is on. Up 6 semitones. Just do that for a second. And then you can change the start point. If you're looking for little bits. Too close to that rim shot. Let's put it over here. Also, what I like doing on a lot of my music, this vocal doesn't have it in it, but this is something I quite like doing. I really like mucking around with this, like with acapellas and stuff, like with old records, looping stuff up. Stop looping that bit up, Ableton. It's annoying, dude. Why does Ableton do that sometimes? It's a great way of getting some of this sort of stuff right. Like, you hear all this sort of stuff in records all the time. It's actually one of the sort of things a lot of people are always like, Ben, where the fuck do you get all these loopy things from? It's as simple as that. There's no other magic to it. Like, sure, I might add some saturation, some reverb. I'll tell you what, we'll end on this. We'll end on trying to make this sound a little more vibey. We'll go reverb. I could go raw, to be fair, try and pull the tops out a little bit. We'll go, and a bit of sidechain. I'll tell you what, we'll cheat. We're just going to use LFO tool. You've seen me do the sidechain now. Just to save time, I just can't bother to click the buttons. Reverb, this is very similar to what we did with the clap. There's no like, oh my God, it needs to be really different now. I need a certain vibe, so I don't want loads of low end in the reverb. I don't want it to be really long, I want it to be quite tight, and I definitely don't want it to be too wet, because it'll make it sound washed out and hollow. I'm gonna rely on the saturation to pull out that sort of tighter sound. It actually makes it, the delay that's in the sample actually feels too big, almost like that. Yeah, the reverb on there. I wonder if we could, sorry, my brain was doing two things at once then. Try this, like, sure, I know this probably won't work with this, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see if the technique we used on the tambourine and the technique we used on the bass line will work on the vocal to make it sort of, I don't know, just experiment, right? You've got to figure stuff out sometimes. Quite like that. We could actually add a bit more ourselves now. I'm going to turn this right down. I'm going to really cook it. That's quite a nice loopy sort of sound, right, for the background. You could kind of keep that, like, even it should, because it's all in key, be able to just sit back here. Give it a bit of movement in the left and right as well. We'll go auto pan. Where are you, auto pan? Because it's got tremolo on the end of it. My brain couldn't see it. Not used to seeing that on it. I've always liked using auto pan, right? Rather than having things locked in time. Sometimes you've got to, because it's just got to feel right. But I quite like things not being locked in time. So like the movement left and right is harder Because the thing is, it's like a clock is right twice a day sort of thing, right? Like it will sometimes be locked in, so it gets the brain in and it kind of like moves back out. But it's not like this really rhythmic thing that you have to have in time. And it is just the left and right movement, so it's not really obviously going out of time. It just sort of makes it slightly less predictable in the background of a record. I quite like. I like doing that with rides as well. When I have a ride in a record, I'll pan it ever so slightly left and right, and I won't have it locked in like going one bar, one bar, one bar, one bar. It will just sort of drift like this, sort of like in its own sort of not following the tempo of the record sort of way. Just adds like a little bit of like, I don't know, like there's something about it. This feels cool. Unpredictable. And I can work, right? I will work in a little sort of song idea like this for quite a few hours. Like I'll typically make, and we can kind of end on this sort of thought process. If I'm going to take my headphones off because they're sweating hot. I'll work on little ideas like this quite a lot. I'll have quite a few on the go, maybe 4, maybe 5, just like bits like this, and export them all as MP3. I'll have them as MP3, and I won't keep going back to the projects for a bit. Like I'll just keep cooking on stuff and keep having a bit of fun making things and just seeing what I can get out of everything. You know, just sort of make stuff and just export it as MP3. Don't overthink it, don't over worry it. Upload it to SoundCloud as a private link so I can listen to it at my phone speakers when I'm making dinner or whatever, like things like that. I'm always working in this kind of bubbly sort of way where I'm not getting too invested in records. Like I'm not getting too invested in an idea. I just sort of have a little go, see what happens, pull it out, like make loads of different songs at the same time, get inspired by some sample that I've heard, or start a new record, and I just keep it in this sort of like 17 bars, 32 bars. Famously, people will know me for the 48 bar song idea, which is something I invented many years ago, where I just make like a 16 bar intro, 16 bar breakdown, 16 bar after, you know, sort of post breakdown, but it's not an intro outro. It's like a vertical slice of an idea. It's like an elevator pitch of an idea for myself, and I can work out breakdowns, getting into breakdowns, getting out of breakdowns. Every 8 bars isn't like in a full arrangement. Would you bring this little loopy vocal? You can kind of see it on the screen in the background. Would you bring that new little loopy vocal in after 8 bars on the full arrangement? Maybe not. It might wait until 16, but I don't care about that. I'll do that when I do the full arrangement. Right now, I'm just doing like a little song idea. Doesn't matter, like, and I'll check every 8 bars. It will have a little like double kick, little double clap. We'll spend some, like I might do this and I would come back and be like, right, let's try and find some like snare fills now. Let's try and find some, let's make some little double clap things. And what does it need? Do we need like little snare builds anywhere? Let's try a little breakdown. I'll make a bunch of those sort of records or like ideas. I like having a few on the go, and then I export them all as MP3. And then because of the time taken to do that, by the time you come back and listen to the first one, the second one, the third one as an MP3, it's really, really obvious which one's the best one. And I quite like working like that. I used to work where every single time I open Ableton, I have to finish the song. It must be finished. And I still do think there's something to that. And I think there's a lot to be learnt by being like that. I think when you're learning music production, it's a really good thing to do because there's a lot more to music than just a good idea. A good idea is vital for the full song to be like, for everyone else to like it. Remember, when we make music, we enjoy the experience. So our music sometimes isn't as good as we experience something more magical, and the outcome, like what we make during that magical thing, might not actually be as magical for a listener. That's the cold truth that we all experience, all of us. No one's above that. So it's very, very important to understand how to do arrangements, how to kind of complete a record, understand how to set up the hook across not just an 8 bar loop or a 16 bar loop, but across a bigger sort of 6 bar, whatever, what we're doing nowadays, 4 minutes or something isn't extended. Come on, guys. But it's important to learn that stuff. But if you're at a sort of stage where you kind of feel fairly comfortable in your songwriting, and you know you maybe have got a couple of bits signed, and you're just trying to find that next thing that's really going to give you the record that's going to push you this summer or something, right? A good thing to do is to mine your own creativity. Don't feel that you have to get it absolutely the best thing you've ever made straight out the gate every single time you sit down with Ableton. And I know some people like to make it look like that, maybe on Instagram or whatever, but that's not the reality for anyone. So mining your own creativity, it can be a really healthy thing to do. for me, what it does is it stops me from feeling overly attached to my sessions. I sometimes can feel overly attached to my music, and I think that biases my decision making, and I think it can get me trapped in this like, oh, I don't know if I like it anymore because I overhear it and I'm overworking it and I'm over trying. I remove myself from that fun, like, hey, I think about what it's like on a dance floor. You really should be making music in that same mood if you want that mood to translate to a dance floor. It's easier said than done, but there's some truth to that. So I feel like if I work on a bunch of little ideas, I'm basically trying to find that little lightning in a bottle that came out of maybe one of them. You might have to make 10 to find one, but I'll tell you what, if you make, let's say 5, if you make 5 records and you turn all of those 5 ideas into full songs and release them, you might actually be releasing 4 meh records. You might like them, you know, but they might not move the needle enough. But that one record is really good. And Mark Knight gave me this advice many years ago, and I've always sort of repeated it. It's a legendary bit of advice. And he did. He pulled me to one side after signing the contract at the company office. He was like, Ben, you need to know, always keep this in your mind. It's not about the records you release. It's about the records you don't release. And at the time, it was a bit like, that's a weird thing to say. I had to think about it. And I've seen him go on and talk. Obviously, I understand it. But it's because once you actually get onto a bigger label and once you are putting records out, if you put a couple of shit records out, it will ruin you. Like, you need to actually make sure that you're making enough music that you can pick the best to platform. You go, this is the best of 5. This is the one we'll go with. And that might be number 4. So if you obsessed about number 1 and then released it, you would have never made idea number 4, which actually would have been that best record. So if you can try and make like 5 ideas or more like a month, and then at the end of the month look at it, and then spend the next month finishing the best one, or like however long, a month is a long time to work on one record, but you get my point, right? So inside that 2 months, you'll end up with one record that could be absolutely killer, that could project your career forwards, massively put you into the scene, rather than spending 2 months making 2 records, and neither of them are going to move the needle as much as that 4th one does on its own. It's just worth thinking about. It's a good idea to kind of maybe take stock on that. And for some people, it can feel a bit uncomfortable, like changing the workflow. Like, oh, that's just not, I don't like doing it like that. How hard have you tried? How often have you done it? It can be, because I don't naturally work like that. I've taught myself to work like that. I've always been, for many years, 15 or 20 years maybe. Yeah, 20 years, because it's fairly recently that I've changed. Start a song, finish a song. Straight up, every single time. Every time. I've never understood these people that have got a folder full of unfinished things. I've never understood it. So this isn't that. This isn't making loads of things and never finishing anything. There is a definitive difference. It's about methodically mining your own creativity for what could be the best. And I found when I do this is I might end up mixing some of them together. The drums on this one are the best. The vocal on that one's the best. I really love the bass line on this one, but it's out of key with the vocal. So I'm going to take the bass line and rechange it to fit the vocal, but I'm going to take those drums. That can give you real magic as well. It's interesting how that can work, which isn't, when people have told me that in the past, I've often been like, nah, that's just not me. It's not how I work. But tell you what, since I started doing it, I have found it's real, and it can be definitely worth trying, all right? Awesome. Right, I hope you all enjoyed that. It's good fun today. We are 1 minute to 1, so it's bang on 2 hours. That's weird how my brain seems to do. It's because I teach so much in 2-hour intervals. My brain just works in 2 hours. I talk in 2-hour stretches. That's how my brain works. It's been really good fun today. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Just a bit of fun on Splice, to be honest with you. Like just seeing if we can use stock and Splice to cook up an idea. And I'd arguably say you can. You can definitely still use Splice straight out of the box inside of Ableton to cook up a good idea in a short space of time. That's 2 hours, but there's a lot of talking involved in that. If you AI edited it out, me sort of banging on about stuff, it's probably only an hour worth of music. Creative time is about an hour there, right, to make something. So if with enough sort of concentration, you can maybe do 5 of those in one day. See which one's the best one at the end of the day. Right, awesome stuff, guys. I appreciate you all for being here. I do. I really, really appreciate you all being here. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We are climbing the ladder of subscriptions. We're brand new, so if anyone enjoys, if you see this and you're like, that was actually all right, that's not bad, I quite like what he's doing, please subscribe and like. It makes a massive difference. It does put my stuff out into the algorithm. We are just humble human beings, just pouring 2 hours of our own time just for the love of the game. And if the algorithm notices that other people love the fact that we love it, it allows it more people to see it, and that's what we want, right? We want to do the thing that we love, and we want people to see it so more people can be involved. So yeah, if you can like, subscribe, comment, I would massively appreciate it. It helps me hugely. All right, awesome stuff. I love you all. Appreciate you all being here. More again next week. We'll figure it out. All right, see you then.